The pretty girl thought I was staring wide-eyed, because I was drooling over her massive assets. But little did she know, with my heavenly eye, I could see a woman's corpse buried right in the dirt beneath her. The moment my shovel dug up those chilling white bones, the same girl who was just looking at me with disgust collapsed to the ground in absolute terror. Suddenly, I stopped in my tracks. There was a small grove of trees in the park. Under the shade, a few people were having a picnic, laughing and chatting away, having a genuinely great time. I stared at them intently, hesitating for quite a while. Finally, I walked right over to them. Susu, who was enjoying the picnic, watched me approach. She smiled and teasingly asked, "Hey there, handsome. Are you coming over to ask for our numbers?" Hearing that, I didn't get mad. I just thought to myself, they're only a bunch of silly little kids. Their ages wouldn't even make up a fraction of mine. I couldn't be bothered to argue. I just earnestly started my sales pitch. "Do you guys want to buy some peace charms? They'll keep you perfectly safe and sound." The people having the picnic all turned to look at me, with faces full of suspicion. What a shame for such a handsome guy to actually be completely out of his mind. "You'd better just hurry up and go home, man." I shook my head and asked in all seriousness, "Are you sure you don't want one? Because you guys are literally sitting on top of someone right now. And they are going to follow you." One of the guys got ticked off. He stood up and yelled, "What the hell are you babbling about?" I pointed right underneath their butts and said completely deadpan, "Dig down 1 meter, and you'll find a woman's body. About 10 centimeters down, there's a bracelet. If you don't believe me, dig it up and see for yourselves." Susu gulped. She forced a stiff smile and said with fake calmness, "Stop making things up." I stared right into her eyes, reading out her past with absolute certainty. "You nearly drowned at age 7. Your parents split up when you were 10. And just last month, you were betrayed." Hearing this, Susu turned pale with shock. She couldn't say a single word. Then, I walked up to an old man who had just wandered over. I looked at his face and said, "Sir, your wife passed away early. And your only son lives abroad. Am I right?" The old man froze instantly. "Spot on." "Wait, is there really something buried here?" The picnickers suddenly remembered what I just said. Terrified, they scrambled out of the way. For a moment, the silence was chillingly eerie. Suddenly, the old security guard tossed his megaphone aside. He rolled up his sleeves and shouted, "I'll dig." The old man actually dug a bracelet out of the dirt. Everyone's faces went deathly pale. This is just a coincidence, right?" "Young man?" I said nothing. I just gave him a cold look, signaling him to keep digging. The old man took a deep breath and forced himself to keep digging. Very quickly, a ghastly white bone appeared in the dirt. Terrified, the old man dropped his shovel and jumped back. His face went entirely pale. His head slumped, and he passed out completely cold. Timid girls immediately burst into tears, screaming, "What do we do?" The old man, who had just come to, was shaking in his boots. He stared at me in pure horror and asked with a trembling voice, "Are you some kind of god?" "What god?" "You have to believe in science. Isn't that right, sir?" The old security guard gave an awkward smile, looking more like he was about to cry. He stammered as he pulled out his phone. Call the cops." Taking the opportunity, I launched right back into my sales pitch. I asked with a sweet smile, "Would you like a protection talisman? It guarantees safety and smooth sailing, keeps all the ghosts and evil spirits away. Only $500 a piece." A group of them scrambled to pull out their cash, fighting to buy one. The old man bought one too, his hands trembling the whole time. He didn't even bother to grab his megaphone off the ground. The security team quickly arrived on the scene. After inspecting the area, they hauled the few of us back to the station to take our statements. Inside the security office, Captain Lee, a veteran officer with 10 years of experience, was taking my statement. "Eyewitness. State your name, age, and gender." I answered him completely unfazed. "Although I'm about 1,000 years old. Can be either a man or a woman. Whatever you need me to be." Captain Lee thought he heard me wrong. He looked up, his eyes wide in disbelief, and asked, "What the hell?" I repeated myself very seriously. "Can be either a man or a woman. It just depends on what you prefer." Captain Lee's face darkened immediately. He gave me a stern warning. "Let me remind you. Obstructing official business carries a fine of $200 to $500, along with 5 to 10 days in detention. If the offense is serious enough, you could even face criminal charges. So I am asking you to answer my questions truthfully." Feeling totally misunderstood, I just threw my hands up in the air. "I'm telling you the absolute truth here. If being a guy doesn't work for you, I can always transform into a girl." Captain Lee was left utterly speechless. He let out a heavy sigh, turned his head, and aggressively scribbled the word male onto his record sheet. Immediately after, he pressed on. "How did you know there was a body buried over there?" I answered him as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "I figured it out through fortune-telling, duh." Captain Lee's eyebrows tied into a tight knot, feeling like his patience was completely running out. He raised his voice and demanded, "Fortune-telling?" I nodded earnestly, and stated with absolute certainty, "Yep, fortune-telling." Captain Lee shot me a highly skeptical glare. His instincts told him I was just spouting total nonsense. He had read the statements from the other witnesses, and they matched my story perfectly, word for word. Captain Lee couldn't help but look me up and down one more time. He thought to himself about his many years on the force, and how he had seen all kinds of crazy things. He knew you could never judge a book by its cover. But a young kid like me knowing how to tell fortunes? Who on earth would buy that? Pushing down the heavy doubts in his mind, Captain Lee took another very deep breath. He forced a polite smile and warned me, "Mr. Gu, obstructing a police investigation comes with real jail time." But before he could even finish his sentence, I tilted my head, studying his facial features, and blurted out of nowhere, "Congratulations. You're going to be a dad." Captain Lee froze. He was completely dumbfounded. "What? Your wife is pregnant? And it's twins?" Captain Lee subconsciously shot back. "How is that even possible?" But before his words could even fade, suddenly, the phone on his desk started ringing. Captain Lee picked up his phone, and saw that it was his wife calling. After answering it, he'd barely listened to a few words, before his whole face bloomed into a massive smile. He was shaking with excitement, grinning from ear to ear. His wife was telling him over the phone that she was pregnant. Hanging up the call, Captain Lee laughed, still grinning widely, and announced to his colleagues in the office, "My wife said she just went to the hospital for a checkup. She's 2 months pregnant with twins. This is amazing. Congratulations." "Congrats, Captain Lee." Hearing this, the few people in the office hurried over to congratulate him. Captain Lee caught a glimpse of me standing to the side. "Mr. Gu." He quickly waved his hands, gesturing for everyone to quiet down. I ignored him, and instead turned to look at another young security guard nearby. I said with absolute certainty, "Zhao Yu, your mom went to the supermarket to grab discounted eggs and sprained her ankle, right?" Zhao Yu froze for a second, then nodded vigorously. "Yeah, she sprained it yesterday while fighting for those eggs." At that moment, a female security guard named Zhang Ting leaned in, her eyes full of curiosity. Smiling, she asked, "You're pretty accurate. Take a look at me. What can you see?" I cast a glance at her. "You suffer from severe coldness in your womb. Every time your time of the month comes around, the pain is absolutely agonizing." As I spoke, I took off my small satchel, placed it on the desk, and unzipped it. "Consider yourself lucky you ran into me. I happen to have a talisman that cures exactly this." Stunned, Zhang Ting nodded vigorously, secretly shocked to her core. That's exactly right. Those few days are absolute torture for me. I've tried both Chinese and Western medicine. The doctors keep telling her she just needs time to recover. She's swallowed a whole mountain of pills, but she hasn't gotten any better. I unzipped my tiny, palm-sized cloth bag, and started pulling things out, one by one. As the pile of items kept growing, everyone's eyes grew wider and wider. Their jaws practically hit the floor. Incense, stacks of cash, a whole pile of talismans folded into little triangles, blank yellow paper, some cinnabar ink, a frayed writing brush, heck, even a few bananas and apples. In no time, the random junk completely covered the huge desk. Seeing that I was still digging stuff out, everyone in the office was absolutely stunned. They all crowded around me, staring at me like I was some kind of alien. Someone gasped in a whisper, "That bag is only the size of a hand. How on earth is it holding all that stuff? No way. That's absolutely impossible. This totally defies science." I dug through the pile and found a little folded triangle talisman. I handed it over to Zhang Ting. "Here, this is a womb-warming talisman. Just stick it on your lower belly. It should completely cure you in about 1 month." Zhang Ting just stared blankly at the piece of paper. She didn't reach out to take it. The office was dead silent. Even the air felt like it had frozen still. After a long moment, Captain Lee was the first to snap out of the shock. His eyes darted back and forth between me and my little bag. He finally couldn't hold back anymore and asked, "That bag of yours doesn't even look that big. How the heck can it hold all this stuff?" His words snapped everyone else back to reality. He pulled a piece of yellow paper out of the bag, waved it around, and explained, "I've got a space talisman stuck inside my bag. Yep, just like this one right here. As long as you stick one of these inside, It can hold hundreds of times more stuff than its actual size. My coworkers just stared at me in total, utter disbelief. A massive wave of shock crashed through her mind. To think a single piece of paper could be this incredibly powerful. Is this some kind of real-life magic? Finally snapping out of her daze, Zhang Ting hurriedly took the talisman with both hands and thanked me with overflowing excitement. Thank you, I mean it, really. I don't even know how to properly thank you. I held out my hand and said without missing a beat, don't mention it, cash will do just fine. 500 bucks. Zhang Ting froze for a split second. Then, without hesitation, she pulled out her phone, scanned my QR code, and paid up. My eyes crinkled into a huge, happy smile. I pocketed the cash and swiftly swept all the stuff on the table straight into my little bag. Having tucked the talisman safely away, Zhang Ting stared at me, her eyes practically sparkling, all while muttering to herself like she was trying to self-hypnotize. I have to believe in science. I must say no to crazy superstitions. Captain Lee rubbed his face hard a couple of times, forcing himself to snap back to business. Can you divine anything? Or, can you calculate any other clues for us? Tilted my head, rubbed my fingers together in the universal sign for cash, and shot back. Are you paying? Give me the victim's exact time and date of birth, and I can give it a shot. I don't have that. Man, if I knew her birth details, wouldn't I already know exactly who she is? Ah, I see. So, are you guys in a rush? If not, let's just do this another day. Captain Lee hurriedly interrupted. Of course we're in a rush. The higher-ups are taking this case super seriously. They've given us a strict 1-week deadline to crack it. But right now, our clues are practically non-existent. All we know is that the victim is female, around 25 years old. She suffered extreme, horrific abuse before she died. Multiple fractures and severe trauma across the body. The estimated time of death was roughly 5 years ago. Time is ticking. If you've got a plan, just spit it out. I let out a long sigh and made a suggestion. In that case, there's only one way left. I can summon the victim's spirit. How about you ask her yourselves? Captain Lee's face instantly froze. He nearly bit his own tongue. Did this kid really just tell us to interrogate a ghost? He gulped hard. I might not have heard that right. Could you run that by me one more time? I said, if the victim hasn't moved on to her next life yet, I can bring her out. And you can ask her whatever you want yourselves. Captain Lee turned to his equally shocked colleague, Zhao Yu, and whispered, did he just tell us to talk to a ghost? Zhao Yu nodded vigorously and replied with absolute certainty. Yes, Captain, you heard him right. When Captain Lee looked back at me, his eyes were filled with an indescribable, bizarre expression. Let's go, come with me to the park. Captain Lee stayed silent for a long time. Let's go, come with me to the park. He finally forced himself to make a decision. He gritted his teeth and said, all right, we'll go with you. I smiled and held out my hand, cheerfully quoting my price. The fieldwork fee is 1,000 bucks. I can't exactly work for free, right? Captain Lee clenched his jaw and nodded reluctantly. Fine. With that, he paid out of his own pocket and transferred 1,000 to me. I beamed with joy and accepted the transfer. Late that night, followed Captain Lee, Zhang Ting, and Zhao Yu to the exact spot where the body was found. I pinched a yellow talisman between 2 fingers. I muttered a few incantations under my breath. Suddenly, the talisman ignited on its own and burned to ashes in the blink of an eye. The glowing embers drifted away in the wind. Whether it was just their imagination or not, Captain Lee and the other 2 felt the temperature around us plummet. It suddenly got so much colder. Zhao Yu let out a shiver. He rubbed his arms, looked around, and said to me, Master, there's absolutely nothing here. Oh, I forgot you guys can't see them. I brought my fingers together and swiped them across their eyes. A streak of golden light flashed, quickly sinking right into their pupils. I clapped my hands and said, all right, you should be able to see now. Zhao Yu blinked exaggeratedly. He looked around once more, saying in confusion, there's still nothing here. The moment the words left his mouth, with a sudden swoosh from the large tree right in front of us, a dark shadow dropped down. An eerie, bone-chilling voice echoed right above their heads. Were you guys looking for me? Zhang Ting let out a terrifying, ear-piercing scream. Beside her, Zhao Yu's eyes simply rolled to the back of his head. He fell straight backward, passing out cold. I dug at my ears, which were ringing from the noise. looked down at Zhao Yu on the ground, and shook my head in absolute disbelief. Truly useless, Captain Lee had worked countless cases, and always prided himself on his rock-solid mental composure. But at this moment, even his scalp went totally numb. His limbs went stiff, and he stood frozen to the spot. I tilted my head up at the female ghost in the tree, and ordered her in a cold voice, "Get down here. We've got some questions for you." The female ghost instinctively sensed how dangerous I was. After floating down from the tree, she kept her distance, not daring to come any closer. With those hollow eyes of hers, she stared at Captain Lee with a mix of confusion and pure fear. "Didn't you guys have something to ask her? Don't just stand there. Hurry up and ask, what are you spacing out for?" Captain Lee bit the bullet and took a step forward. He gulped nervously and said, I'm with the City Criminal Investigations Division. We're currently investigating your murder. So, we're hoping you can tell us, who are you? And who killed you? Please, give us some clues." Hearing this, the ghost began muttering to herself in a daze, trying desperately to remember what happened before she died. As the memories flooded back, the dark aura around her grew thicker and thicker. Her expression twisted into something utterly hideous, and she let out a maddened, ear-piercing shriek. Hit by this chilling, murderous wave of energy, Captain Lee and Zhang Ting stumbled back in absolute terror. I frowned. Raising my hand, I struck her with a swift, invisible slap through the air. A sharp smack echoed out, and more than half of the dark aura around her instantly shattered. She stood there trembling, head bowed, not daring to even look at me. "Behave yourself, just answer whatever we ask you. If you try acting up again, I'll scatter your soul into oblivion." The ghost jolted in terror, shivering uncontrollably. Captain Lee took a deep breath, wiped his cold sweat, and said, "You two stand guard here." Ahem. Think I should be the one asking the questions. Who are you? How did you die? And who murdered you? The killer was a man. I didn't know him. I have no idea who he was. I just didn't know him. Was it for money, an assault, or maybe a grudge? None of those. That man was an absolute monster. Seeing the female ghost getting so worked up, and the dark aura threatening to explode again, I flicked my finger, sending a streak of golden light straight into her body. That violent dark energy vanished without a trace in an instant. Captain Lee, seeing that she had calmed down, finally softened his tone, and continued to comfort her. "Miss, tell me exactly what happened, in detail. We will absolutely catch this killer. We'll bring him to justice, and get you the justice you deserve." My name is Li Wan. I was 20 years old when I died. Because my family was so poor, after graduating from high school, I came out here all by myself to find work. That night, I had just gotten off my night shift, and while I was walking down a narrow alley, someone suddenly grabbed me from behind and covered my mouth and nose. When I finally woke up, I was already locked inside a pitch-black room with no daylight at all. He tortured me, so brutally. He made me wish I was dead. The more I suffered, the happier he got. The more desperately I screamed, the more excited he became. I begged him so hard. I pleaded with him to let me go. I promised him I would give him all the money I had saved up over the years. I swore to him I would never go to the police. But he completely ignored me. Every single day, he'd find some sick new way to torture me. I lost count of how many times I blacked out. But every time, he'd violently force me back awake. Those days felt exactly like living in hell. Listening to her tearful confession, Captain Lee and Zhang Ting were deeply shaken. A fierce anger burned in their chests. Captain Lee thought for a moment, then zeroed in on the main point and asked, "During all of that time, did you ever see his real face?" The female ghost replied, her voice choking with sobs. "Every time he came, he wore a terrifying demon mask, so I don't know what he looks like. All I know is that he was really skinny, and about 5 foot something tall, and he had a scar on his left arm, looked like a burn mark from a cigarette, and there was one time he went out to take a call. I faintly heard him say that his name was Wu Tian." Zhao Yu, who had just been jolted awake by Zhang Ting pinching his upper lip, heard that name, and his eyes widened in sheer terror as he gasped. "Did you just say his name is Wu Tian? It couldn't be my distant cousin Wu Tian, could it?" Zhang Ting couldn't help but joke. "What a coincidence. Don't tell me your cousin is that psycho killer?" Zhao Yu found it completely unbelievable. "No way. How could there be such a crazy coincidence? That's simple enough. You've got a picture of your cousin, right? Pull it up and let me see. We'll know right away if it's him." Zhao Yu frantically fumbled for his phone and started scrolling through his photo gallery. He quickly dug up a casual picture of Wu Tian and handed it to me. I took one single look, then turned my head and said to Captain Lee with absolute certainty, "Go arrest him. He has a lot more than just one life on his hands. He's killed at least 75 people. There's a hidden room in his basement, and there's a victim locked inside right now. If you don't hurry, they're gonna die." Everyone was absolutely shocked to hear this. They all let out a collective gasp. I rubbed my chin and helpfully suggested, "I can also help you cast a truth talisman on him. That way, you'll get his full confession during the interrogation. But this comes with an extra fee. $500 will do." "Now, pay up." "Captain Lee, why'd I have to pay? It's my very first day on the job. I haven't even gotten my first paycheck yet." "The suspect is your cousin, so naturally, you foot the bill. Just consider it, putting justice above family." Zhao Yu's mouth twitched. He mentally cursed himself for having such a big mouth. Why did he have to blurt out that they were cousins? He could have just said he recognized him from the internet. How is this such a coincidence? Did you calculate this or something? I happen to have exactly $500 on me. But of course, it's not like you have a penny more than that, anyway. After pocketing the cash, I turned to look at the female ghost, Li Wan, and said gently, "You should come with me for now. Once your case is officially closed, and your resentment fades away, I will help you move on and reincarnate." The female ghost was originally consumed by absolute hatred. Because her lingering grudges wouldn't fade, she had been endlessly wandering the mortal realm, unable to enter the cycle of reincarnation. "Okay. I'll listen to you, master." I pulled a small, glossy little gourd out of my bag. I actually scored this little thing at a street stall, and carved the magical seals onto it myself. I popped the stopper out of the gourd, silently chanted a few lines of an incantation, and the female ghost instantly turned into a puff of black smoke. Obediently slipping right into the gourd, Captain Lee and the other two guys just stared blankly at the gourd in my hands. Man, this is exactly like watching a fantasy movie. I never want to go through that again for the rest of my life. Call for backup. Head straight to Wu Tian's house, right now. Hurry. My life motto is, if your money is gone, you can always make more. But if your conscience is gone, you can make a hell of a lot more. Ha ha ha. Wu Tian lived in a high-end villa district in the suburbs. It was a fully detached, private mansion. At that moment, Wu Tian opened the door in his pajamas. Seeing the group of fully armed security guards at his doorstep, he looked visibly annoyed, especially when he spotted, at the back of the crowd, his absolute meathead of a cousin, Zhao Yu. His face was written with pure disgust. "Zhao Yu. Why are you here? What the hell are all of you doing here in the middle of the night?" Captain Lee stepped forward, flashed his security badge, and said coldly, "Hello, I am Li Jiangguo from the Criminal Investigation Division. We have a homicide case and need to ask you some questions. Is it convenient to go inside and talk?" A fleeting trace of panic flashed through Wu Tian's eyes, but he forced his face to stay calm. He stepped aside with a fake smile and said, "Of course. I am a law-abiding citizen, after all. Cooperating with an investigation is the least I can do. Please, come in." He strolled casually at the very back of the group. The exact moment Wu Tian turned around to walk inside, I completely silently flicked a truth talisman from my fingertips right onto his back. The talisman turned into a streak of light, and swiftly melted right into his body. I nodded to Captain Lee. Captain Lee got the hint. He reached into the evidence bag, and pulled out the bracelet we found at the murder scene. He held it up right in front of Wu Tian, and demanded sternly, "Mr. Wu, have you ever seen this bracelet before?" Wu Tian was about to deny it without a second thought, but the words that came out of his mouth shocked even him. He blurted out, completely out of his own control, "Of course I have. The first woman I ever killed was wearing that exact same bracelet. I watched her scream in my basement every single day. For a whole month, how could I not recognize it?" As soon as the words left his mouth, Wu Tian's face went completely pale. He clamped his hands over his mouth in sheer terror, shaking his head frantically, his eyes filled with absolute despair. In his mind, he was screaming, "Ah, that's not what I meant to say." He had wanted to say he'd never seen it before, but his mouth seemed to have a mind of its own. It was uncontrollably spilling out all his deepest, darkest secrets. The accompanying security guards gasped in shock, unable to believe their own ears. They stared at Wu Tian, their eyes filled with utter disbelief and bewilderment. They were all thinking the same thing. Well, now I've seen everything. In all my years on the job, I've never seen a serial killer. He's so blatantly brazen. and just blurt out a confession like that. Did he get kicked in the head by a mule or something? Captain Li's face grew dead serious. He locked eyes with Wu Tian and demanded, "Mr. Wu, did you just say you killed someone?" Wu Tian covered his mouth with both hands, gripping as hard as he could, trying to use sheer brute force to stop himself from saying another word. But no matter how hard I tried, it was totally useless. The voice still slipped clearly right through the gaps in my fingers. "That's right, I did take a life. And not just one, either. I'm a web novel author." But then, my inspiration completely dried up. To write a massive hit, specifically targeted out-of-towners who were all alone, I'd knock them out and lock them down in the basement, tie them up, and ruthlessly torment them. Their extreme agony and desperate screams gave me endless creative inspiration. Ha ha ha. The books I wrote blew up, one after another. I gained massive fame and fortune. Now, whenever anyone sees me, they all respectfully call me master. My motto is, if you lose your money, you can always make more. But if you lose your conscience, you can make a whole lot more. I even printed that quote on bookmarks and sold them to my fans. Oh, right. I still have one locked in my basement who's barely clinging to life. Ha ha ha. Search the basement, right now. Hurry, call an ambulance. Several guards forcefully smashed open the hidden door to the basement and carried out a victim battered and covered head to toe in red. Barely breathing and on the brink of death, they immediately called an ambulance and rushed them to the hospital to be saved. The case progressed incredibly smoothly after that. Wu Tian, who was dragged back to the security room, was extremely cooperative with the guards. He truly answered every single question they asked, and held absolutely nothing back. This twisted, brutal string of serial crimes was solved overnight. It instantly caused a massive uproar in society, and shot straight to the top of all the major news headlines. I said my goodbyes to Captain G and the others, and headed straight for the bustling food street, planning to treat myself to a massive feast over there. Gotta treat myself right. While walking down the street, a young guy in a frog mascot suit, carrying a whole bunch of inflatable frogs, caught my eye. I stopped and looked him up and down. The bad luck clinging to this guy was so thick you could practically touch it. Even from far away, I could see a dark cloud of gloom hanging right over his head. Where did this poor sap come from? Well, time for my good deed of the day. Since we crossed paths, I might as well give him a hand. I walked right up to him and patted the frog on the shoulder. "Hey, bro, you've been having a really rough time lately, haven't you? Fortune telling and palm reading. 500 a reading. If I'm wrong, you don't pay a dime." The giant frog turned around, pulled off its headpiece, and revealed the exhausted face of a college student. He froze for a second, then scoffed, sounding completely annoyed. "Dude, it's the 21st century. Drop the fake psychic act, will you? Get out of here. And don't distract me, I need to watch out for the city cops." I crossed my arms, and calmly went on. "You were just walking down the street, minding your own business, when a car suddenly lost control and barreled straight toward you. Good thing you jumped out of the way, or you'd be dead. The night before last, when you were handing out flyers, that billboard by the road fell down without any warning at all. Smash, it nearly crushed you to death. And 3 days ago, you were just leaning against a wall to take a break, and that solid brick wall suddenly collapsed. A flying brick literally cracked your head wide open." My words made the young guy in front of me jolt in shock. He just stared at me, completely dumbfounded, looking like he'd just seen a ghost. "Oh, Odin," he stammered out, "Odin. How do you know all that so clearly?" I just gave a cheeky chuckle. "Fortune telling and face reading. 500 a reading. If it's not spot on, you don't pay a dime. I'll do it." He immediately whipped out his phone and scanned the QR code to pay. Grasping at it like a literal lifeline, I happily pocketed the cash, looked him dead in the eye and prompted, "Think really hard about it. Did anything out of the ordinary happen about 6 months ago?" The college kid frowned, racking his brain for a good while, before he slowly started to recall. 6 months ago, my mom got super sick. It cost us a fortune, and things got really tight for my family financially. My buddy, Zhao He, helped me land a gig as a leasing agent for rental properties. I'd go to classes during the day and hustle for clients at night. Since I was working my absolute tail off, like a complete workhorse. I actually closed quite a few deals. In just 1 month, I pulled in $7,000 or $8,000 in commissions. The boss couldn't praise me enough either. At the beginning of the second month, the company threw a department dinner. Right there, in front of everyone. The boss handed me a fat stack of cash as a bonus, saying it was to motivate the whole team. He paused right there, his face turning a little pale. I think it was right after that dinner that my luck completely tanked. Honestly, it felt like I was cursed or something. Every possible stroke of bad luck just hit me all at once. Boss Odin. Have you ever thought about it, Boss Odin? You've got this dark cloud of bad luck hanging right over your head. You keep brushing right up against death. But every single time you're in danger, you somehow walk away without a single scratch on you. It's like a miracle. Why do you think that is? Do you really want to help him? Yeah. He's my absolute best friend. We've known each other since we were in diapers, classmates, roommates. We're basically joined at the hip, man. If he's in trouble, I absolutely have to help him out. Well then, do you know if he's run into anything unusual lately? Has he been to any creepy, dark places? Or maybe crossed paths with someone weird? The college guy scratched his head, thinking back hard on it. I really don't remember anything out of the ordinary happening. If something crazy happened to him, I'd be the very first person he'd gossip with. We go to all our classes together during the day, grab food together, and at night, I go work my part-time job, while he heads back to the dorm to play games. When my shift is over, I just go straight back to sleep too. Our daily routine is super basic and open. I honestly can't think of a single weird thing. 1 second he's fighting me for the last piece of braised pork. And the next second, he just collapses right onto the table. I furrowed my brow. This isn't as simple as it looks. Any chance I could get a look at your dorm room? I don't need to go inside. Just use your phone to start a video call, and show me around the place. That'll be enough. Yeah, sure, no problem. You got it, boss. I'm heading back to the dorm right now. The college student, named Gu Bei, hurriedly stripped off his heavy, stuffy mascot costume. He carefully tucked the protection charm deep into his inner pocket, patted it twice, to make sure it was completely safe, then grabbed his stuff and rushed straight back to campus. Watching him walk away, I suddenly spoke up and asked, Gu Bei. Old Guangdong, have you ever wondered why you're always clouded by bad luck, and constantly run into deadly situations? But every single time you're in danger, you miraculously come out without a single scratch. Why do you think that is? Gu Bei stopped in his tracks. He turned around, looking confused, and asked, Huh? Why is that? Is it because I'm just too tough to kill? And God is having a really hard time trying to take my life? I smiled and shook my head, saying meaningfully, Of course not. Of course not. It's because someone has been secretly protecting you all along. Gu Bei's mouth dropped open in shock. Protecting me? Who is it? Then I definitely need to thank them properly. I smiled mysteriously. The time isn't right yet. I'll tell you later. Go handle your business at the dorm first. Okay. After Gu Bei left, I looked at the silent figure following right behind him, a kind, white-haired old grandmother. The ghost smiled and nodded lovingly at his back. Don't worry, he's a good, kind kid. He's going to be completely fine. Now, it's time to come with me. The old grandmother smiled gratefully, bowed to me deeply, and vanished into a gentle breeze. Gu Bei sprinted all the way back to his dorm. He immediately pulled out his phone and started a video call with me. Panting heavily on the other end of the screen, he cried out, Master, none of the other guys are in the dorm. He probably went out to hang out with his girlfriend. This top bunk on the screen belongs to my best buddy, Joe Ming. Could you take a look and see if something's wrong? I stared intently at the screen, my brows tightly furrowed. In my line of sight, hovering right over that bed, coiled a thick, suffocating cloud of dark energy. Looking closer, I could even see the faint traces of the protection charm I had drawn, and the marks of it fighting off that dark energy. Gu Bei noticed my grim expression, and stumbled back a few steps in panic. Is Joe Ming really in deep trouble? Man, please don't scare me. You have to save him. Zhou Ming is my absolute best friend. You just have to save him. Gu Bei, calm down first. Tell me every single detail about the day he collapsed. From start to finish. Gu Bei swallowed hard, and recalled the events. A week ago. We went together to get lunch at cafeteria number 2. He had just taken one bite of his food. When bam, he just collapsed face first onto the table. It completely freaked us out. We even thought the cafeteria food was poisoned. We frantically dialed 120 and rushed him to the hospital. But ever since that day, he's been stuck in a deep coma. His vital signs are getting weaker and weaker. 513-7513. Every expert and medical machine in the hospital was brought in, but they just couldn't figure out what the hell is wrong with him. Master, what do we have to do to save him? Just tell me what we need to prepare, and I'll absolutely do it. Even if it's beyond me, his wealthy parents can definitely get it done. His situation is highly unusual. I can't get a clear read just through a screen. I have to see him in person. Gu Bei chimed in immediately. That's easy, he's right at the city center hospital. I'll take you there right now. Just wait for me at the food street. I'll zip over on my electric scooter to pick you up right away. A little while later, I was sitting on Gu Bei's rickety little scooter, pulling up to the VIP ward of the number 7 hospital. As we walked, Gu Bei kept assuring me, Master, when we see Zhou Ming's parents in a bit, feel free to name your price. His folks are business people. They're loaded. As long as you can wake their son up, I guarantee they'll pay whatever you ask. I shot him a glance, and asked casually, do his parents normally treat you well? Gu Bei looked confused, but nodded like it was obvious. Yeah, of course. His mom and dad treat me like their own son. Every time they come to campus to visit Zhou Ming, they always bring me a ton of good food. They're just great. I rolled my eyes, sighing to myself, having such a willing, hardworking pack mule of a surrogate son who asks for absolutely nothing in return is truly a blessing for the Zhou family. Zhou Ming was staying in a high-end private room. Pushing the door open, we saw Zhou Ming's mother, Shu Li, holding her son's hand with red, teary eyes, sobbing softly. Her husband, Zhou Cheng, had his arm around her shoulders, comforting her quietly. Hearing someone come in, Shu Li quickly wiped her tears away, thinking it was just some of their son's classmates. The couple didn't think much of it. Looking completely exhausted, Zhou Cheng managed to force a small, polite smile. Xiao Bei, what brings you over here so late? And this must be your classmate, right? Gu Bei hurriedly pulled me forward, and introduced me with grand enthusiasm. Uncle Zhou. He's amazing. He took one look at a photo and instantly knew there was something sketchy about Zhou Ming's illness. So I rushed him over here to take a look. Mr. and Mrs. Zhou looked me up and down. Seeing my fresh, college kid face, they figured it was just 2 naive kids messing around. But out of politeness, while they didn't believe a word of it, they didn't immediately lose their tempers and kick us out either. Zhou Cheng let out a helpless sigh, and gently urged, Xiao Bei, I know you and Zhou Ming are very close. And Uncle appreciates your good intentions. But it's late out, and it's not safe outside. You boys just don't wear yourselves out over this. Hurry back to campus and get some rest. Right at that moment, the hospital room door was suddenly flung open, and an energetic old man strode inside. Right at that moment, the hospital room door was suddenly flung open, and an energetic old man strode inside. The second he laid eyes on me, his face lit up with absolute shock and joy. Master Su. What are you doing here? Well, hey there, sir. Looks like we meet again. The newcomer was none other than the man from outside the steamed bun shop. The very same one who had narrowly escaped death. Old man Zhou excitedly grabbed my hands. Thank goodness, Master Su. Finally found you. These past 2 days, I've been walking up and down that street, searching all over town for you. But I just couldn't find you anywhere, and I was going crazy with worry. The old man continued, turning to his son, Zhou Cheng, beside him. He saw him still standing there like a deer in the headlights, and scolded him with obvious annoyance. This is Master Su, the one I've been telling you all about. What are you just standing there for? Hurry up and greet Master Su. 97. Zhou Cheng immediately sized me up, looking utterly bewildered. He remembered his old man actually rambling on a couple of days ago. About running into someone at a bun shop, some incredibly powerful, hidden master. Basically a living prophet, whose fortune-telling was freakishly accurate, but he never in a million years expected that the almighty, all-knowing prophet his dad wouldn't shut up about would actually be around the same age as his own son, just a wet behind-the-ears kid. Shu Li gently tugged at her husband's sleeve, unable to withstand his old man's absolute death glare. Zhou Cheng could only lower his head and awkwardly mumble a skeptical greeting. "Hello, Master Su." Ever since his grandson, Zhou Ming, had mysteriously fallen ill, old Mr. Zhou felt something was terribly off. He had this sinking feeling that their family was being haunted by something evil. He had wanted to beg me for help, but he didn't have my contact info. So he ended up wandering the streets like a headless chicken, worrying himself sick until he broke out in cold sores. "Master, please, have some mercy, and tell me if my precious grandson is possessed." I just took one focused look at Zhou Ming, and I immediately knew exactly what was going on. I let out a cold sneer, and got straight to the point. "Someone is stealing his lifespan." Everyone in the hospital room gasped in shock, blurting out in unison, "Ah? What? Stealing his lifespan?" Some people, just to cling to their own miserable lives and cheat death, will resort to the most vicious, forbidden dark arts. They forcefully drain away someone else's remaining years to extend his own life. This is what we call stealing a lifespan. Old man Zhou was shaking with absolute rage. He pounded his cane violently against the floor. "My grandson is the apple of my eye. How dare he target my sweet boy? And use such vicious, dark magic?" Shu Li completely broke down right then and there. She dropped heavily to her knees, tears streaming down her face. She grabbed my pant leg and begged, "Master, he is my only child. He is my whole world. Please, I beg you, use your powers. You have to save him. Name your price. We will give you everything we have." I bent down and gently helped her to her feet. Turning to old man Zhou, I looked him dead in the eye and asked, "Sir, that day at the steamed bun shop, the protection talisman I gave you, did you do exactly as I asked? And have your grandson carry it on him at all times?" "Yes, he has had it on him this whole time." Old man Zhou nodded frantically. He hurriedly reached into the inner pocket of his grandson's jacket, but when he pulled his hand out, he was holding nothing but a handful of dark gray ash. What is going on here? Why did the talisman turn to ash? A high-level protection talisman like that, once it blocks a fatal attack on someone's life, its spiritual energy is completely drained, and it crumbles to ash. When his lifespan was forcefully ripped away from him, he should have died right there on the spot. That talisman took the brunt of the deadly blow. That is the only reason he is still breathing, even though he cannot wake up. Hearing this, Shu Li cried even harder, her face drenched in tears. She gripped my hands tightly and refused to let go. "Master, is there any way to wake my boy up now?" I nodded, looking at her with complete confidence. I said, "I can save him." As soon as the words left my mouth, I raised my hand and pointed into the empty air. Out of nowhere, a golden talisman materialized at my fingertips. The talisman flew from my hand and hovered right above Zhou Ming's body. It suddenly expanded, growing to the size of a real person. It radiated a blinding golden light. Then, with a flash of gold, a massive glowing seal instantly plunged into Zhou Ming's body. Standing to the side, Ji Yubei was so shocked his jaw practically hit the floor. He stared dumbfounded at Zhou Ming on the hospital bed, then violently whipped his head around to look at the others. Luckily, the expressions on Zhou Cheng, his wife, and the old man were even more exaggerated than his. They all stood there frozen, looking like they had just seen a living god. That made him feel a little less embarrassed. Zhou Cheng and Shu Li's brains had clearly short-circuited completely. They could only stare blankly at the hospital bed, at their son who was finally moving. A few seconds later, Zhou Ming's fingers twitched slightly on the bed, and he slowly opened his eyes. The moment he woke up, he saw a circle of people crowding his bed, every single one of them staring intensely at him without even blinking. The sight made Zhou Ming jolt in fear. He spoke weakly. "Dad, Mom, Grandpa. Why are you all here? And old Gu. Why are you guys staring at me like I'm some kind of alien?" It's seriously creeping me out. Also, who's this handsome guy next to you? Oh, my precious grandson. You're finally awake. You scared your grandpa half to death. Once their emotions had settled down a bit, I suddenly spoke up, throwing out a chilling question. In your Joe family, is it true that every few years, a young descendant dies a violent, accidental death? Hearing this, old man Joe shuddered violently. Shocked, he blurted out, "My God, you're actually right. To think that even such ancient, hidden family secrets could be figured out by you, Master. A few years ago, when my oldest brother's grandson was fixing his roof, he inexplicably missed a step and fell to his death. And my second brother's grandson, he went traveling a few years back. He took a tour bus, and the bus rolled right off a cliff. A whole bus full of people, and everyone else only got minor injuries. Yet he was the only one who died on the spot. Because every few years, one of the young men in our family would die a tragic death. And every single one of them was a violent death. We old folks felt something was terribly wrong. And we figured there was a huge problem with our ancestral graves' feng shui. Sigh, because every few years, another young man in our family would meet a tragic end. And again, all of them violent deaths. We old folks really felt something was terribly wrong. And assumed our ancestral graves' feng shui had gone completely wrong. So, we spent a fortune hiring a feng shui master to move the ancestral graves. We even had the feng shui of every single family member's house checked out, to make absolutely sure there were no issues at all. Only then did we finally feel a little bit of relief. For the past 2 years, everything has been perfectly peaceful. Nothing bad has happened since. We all thought the curse was finally broken. But who could have known that this evil force would target my precious grandson next?" Hearing these words, Joe Chang recalled my earlier prediction. A layer of goosebumps immediately covered his entire body. He looked at me hesitantly, and asked with a trembling voice, "Master Su, are you saying that? Could it be that all the young men in our Joe family who died early were all..." You can drop the "could it be." They were all murdered by the exact same person stealing their lifespans.